Well, it's reset one, I guess, from the regular season. What do you all say to the players? I mean, obviously, it's a one and done situation, but how do you try to get that across to them to maybe put some of those things behind them from the regular season?
I think that's exactly what you talk about. We're now in a situation where ultimately you have to play with a great sense of urgency because you are in a win or go home situation. So there's no room at all for not being mentally prepared, not being physically prepared, not being ready to play. All these guys have been in this environment before. They understand what's coming. We've been in a championship game in this tournament the last 2 years, and that's expected now. So that's the message you send, and I think that's what our guys need to understand walking into this type of venue.
You've got veterans, like you mentioned, Javon and Dax that have been here a bunch before. You have guys that were here last year, though, Sags, Beadle, players like that, but not necessarily the biggest roles. Is it different for them, knowing now, hey, the load's on my shoulders to really produce this time?
Well, yeah, I think, for those guys that, haven't had as defined or as big a role this year, I think it's always been, all year long, one of those situations. But we've been through a year, so Sags and Beadle and those guys who have, become much more important to our team and much more dependent on. I think that, ultimately they have to understand that carries over into the postseason, maybe even in a bigger way. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're prepared for that. I think they're ready for that. I certainly know that our practices leading up to this tournament have been that way. So I think those guys are excited, and I think our team's excited. And I'm, as a coach, I'm excited because you can see their enthusiasm, and they're ready to go. I think we're ready to play.
The conventional wisdom, is that it's tough to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. And I know you buy into that differently, probably depending on which side you're on. But are there specific things that, is it like you're kind of in a reaction mode because they're going to adjust some things that you were successful, with the first time and try to take those away?
Yeah, that's coming. Absolutely that is. But, on our end, we have to adjust some things too. And, I think a lot of times, Hugs is as good as there is anywhere in the world at understanding what's coming. So it wouldn't surprise me if every adjustment they make, he kind of understands what they're going to do. And I think that's part of what's made him so successful over the years. And ultimately, he's in a situation with our basketball team, or he's put our kids in a situation with our team to where I think we'll be prepared for whatever adjustments they make, and hopefully we'll be able to make some that bother them a little bit too.
Finally, part of that preparation, and something that this team and a lot of Huggins teams have done extremely well, is inbound plays under your own basket, getting really good shots. I mean, it looks like basic action, but what are the key to some of those? Is it just execution, or is it a little adjustment for each team you're playing?
Well, I think it is, Kevin. I think it's one of those situations where, you always want to take what the defense gives you. And he's so good at looking out there and figuring out what the defense is giving you, what they're trying to take away. It's actually kind of scary at times. And Coach Hugs is he's terrific at that. And also he's a guy who he can make those adjustments on the run. I mean, we've run plays that we haven't practiced before where we've got layups just because he's so good at understanding what they're trying to do, what they're not trying to do. And we've joked about it as assistant coaches. We've said, man, we wish we could have a timeout every possession because we get great shots, But it's kind of unique, and it's nice for me to be able to sit there on the bench and watch that.